What if I told you Max Verstappen was lifting on the straights and still had 15 km/h in hand? Preseason testing is over. The data is locked. And Red Bull just revealed something that should terrify the entire grid. While Ferrari chased pole position headlines, Verstappen ran a full race simulation that was nearly half a second per lap faster than his closest rival. Zero dramatic glory laps. Zero flashy time attacks. Just relentless consistency. Lap after lap separated by 1/10 of a second. And here is the insane part. Telemetry shows the new Ford power unit running 12 degrees cooler than its rivals. No clipping at the end of the straight. No electrical fade. Full deployment, all the way to the braking zone. Other teams were losing power before the corner. Red Bull was still accelerating. And on top of that, analysts discovered Max was lifting early during some of his quicker runs, hiding the real top speed. Think about that. If this was Red Bull holding back, what happens when they stop hiding? Because this is not just about raw pace. It is about race pace. Tire degradation almost non-existent. Stable platform under braking. An engine that keeps pushing when others run out of breath. And if what we saw in Bahrain was only a glimpse, Australia might not be a fight. It might be a statement. Stay with me. Because what Verstappen's hidden pace really reveals about the RB22 could redefine the entire 2026 championship before it even properly begins. Let us start with the long runs. Because that is where championships are decided. On the surface, Ferrari looked explosive over one lap. But Red Bull never chased that headline. Instead, Verstappen focused on full race simulations. Fuel loads high. Tire management realistic. Energy deployment consistent. And the numbers were brutal. While rivals were circulating in the mid 1-minute 38s, the RB22 was comfortably running in the low 1-minute 37s. That gap may not sound enormous. But stretch it across a full race distance. It becomes decisive. And what made it even more frightening was the consistency. Verstappen completed a 15-lap run with barely 1/10 of a second variation between laps. That is not just pace. That is tire control. Because degradation appears almost non-existent. While Ferrari's rear tires drop sharply after several laps, Red Bull's performance curve is almost flat. Flat curves win Sundays. Now add the engine factor. The Ford power unit was the biggest unknown heading into this season. New partnership. New architecture. New risk. But instead of overheating or clipping, it has become their greatest advantage. Telemetry indicates it runs around 12 degrees cooler than its direct rivals. Cooler temperatures mean tighter packaging. Tighter packaging means less drag. Less drag means more straight line speed. And crucially, it means stable electrical deployment all the way to the braking zone. While other teams experience clipping at the end of Bahrain's long straight, the RB22 keeps accelerating. That continuous torque delivery is devastating in race conditions. Because overtakes are not just about peak speed. They are about sustained acceleration. And here is the psychological layer. Verstappen openly admitted this is not his favorite car to drive. He described it as heavier in slow corners. More demanding in energy management. But he also made it clear that he feels in control. That the stopwatch looks good. And that is classic Verstappen. He does not need a car that feels poetic. He needs a car that wins. Technically, the anti-dive suspension allows him to brake later without destabilizing the aerodynamic platform. The updated side pod concept improves airflow sealing around the floor, enhancing rear stability. That stability reduces tire overheating, which protects long-run performance. Everything connects. And then there is the most intriguing detail of all. On the final day of testing, while others chased single-lap glory, Max ran a full race distance. Observers later noticed he was lifting slightly on the straights during quicker runs. Not because he had to. Because he did not want to show everything. That tells you something profound. If you are confident enough to hide speed in preseason, you believe you already have enough. Preseason testing is finished. No more camouflage. Australia will reveal whether that hidden pace was real or simply calculated theater. But if the RB22 delivers the same low degradation, sustained deployment, and thermal efficiency under race pressure, the insane truth becomes clear. Red Bull did not build the flashiest car. They built the most efficient weapon. And in a regulation era dominated by energy management and tire survival, efficiency beats spectacle. Which means Verstappen's hidden pace may not just be a preseason story. It may be the first warning sign of another title campaign that begins quietly and ends decisively. But here is where the hidden pace turns into something even more dangerous. Because raw speed is one thing. Control under pressure is another. And everything about the RB22 suggests this car was designed for control. Look at the braking phase. The anti-dive suspension keeps the front end flat under heavy deceleration. That means the aerodynamic platform remains stable. No sudden pitch. No violent weight transfer. And when the platform stays stable, the floor keeps generating downforce consistently. That allows Verstappen to brake around 10 meters later than rivals without destabilizing the rear. 10 meters. In Formula 1, that is the difference between defending and overtaking. Now connect that to tire management. A stable platform means less sliding on corner entry. Less sliding means less surface temperature spike. Less temperature spike means slower degradation. And slower degradation means strategic freedom. Red Bull can extend stints, or push when needed, or undercut aggressively. They are not locked into a single strategy. And that flexibility wins championships. Then there is the aerodynamic refinement introduced mid-test. The updated side pod concept improved airflow toward the diffuser. That increases rear stability on throttle, which directly counters the heavy electric torque characteristic of this new era. While some teams struggle to control rear traction under deployment, Red Bull appears to harness it smoothly. That smoothness is everything. Because in 2026, electrical delivery is brutal. If it is not perfectly controlled, rear tires suffer immediately. Red Bull seems to have solved that equation. And yet, there is still one vulnerability. Operational complexity. The hydraulic failure on the opening day in Bahrain exposed how tightly packaged the car is. When something small goes wrong, it can cost hours in the garage. Extreme efficiency means extreme compactness. And compactness can complicate repairs. But here is what matters. They fixed it quickly. They returned stronger. And they finished testing with the most convincing race simulation of anyone. Even Helmut Marko could not resist admitting their long run was depressing. For everyone else. Now consider Verstappen's mindset. He openly said the car is not his favorite to drive. It feels heavier in slow corners. Less playful. More mechanical. But he also emphasized something critical. He feels in control. And control in a championship fight is priceless. Because when the car is predictable, even if it is not perfect, Max extracts everything. That is what makes the hidden pace so unsettling. It is not built on drama. It is built on repetition. Repeatable lap times. Repeatable tire life. Repeatable deployment without clipping. If Ferrari brings Saturday fireworks, Red Bull brings Sunday inevitability. And preseason testing is over. No more disguises. No more lifting early to mask top speed. Australia will show whether this efficiency translates into dominance under real race intensity. If it does. If Verstappen qualifies close enough to attack early. If the RB22 protects its tires as smoothly as it did in Bahrain. Then the insane truth becomes unavoidable. Red Bull may have sacrificed spectacle for supremacy. And Verstappen's hidden pace was never about secrecy. It was about sending a quiet message. We do not need to be loud. We just need to be consistent. and in a regulation era defined by energy management, thermal control, and tire survival. Consistency is the most ruthless weapon of all.